Welcome back to the Collegiate Athletics Advocate. My name is Will, and today we're going to continue our conversation about Pac-12 conference realignment. This will be the first of 3 videos taking a closer look at which schools I think are candidates to be the next additions to the Pac-12 conference. I believe the first domino to fall will be UNLV, which is why I've elected to talk about them first. The situation with UNLV is likely far more complicated than people actually realize. While they have some great history in basketball, the Running Rebels have never been a powerhouse in football. In the last few years, they've begun to invest heavily in their football program. This has resulted with them putting together a couple really solid seasons back-to-back in 2023 and 2024, with 2025 looking to be just as promising. Those with short memories will know this and overinflate their value, while those with longer memories will chalk this up as simply flash-in-the-pan success and undervalue them. I think their value lies somewhere in the middle, as UNLV is unlike other schools. Their location in Las Vegas is actually what drives most of their value. In a city built for entertainment, the best forms of collegiate sports entertainment are flourishing, and UNLV is reaping the benefits, but not enough. This conversation around UNLV is actually more about aspirations than it is about their current value. When the athletic department realized how popular sports were becoming in Las Vegas, due to them falling at the perfect intersection of sports, entertainment, and gambling, they started to invest heavily in their athletics, particularly in football. They were betting on their own elevation to a conference such as the PAC-12, where they could earn enough money in media rights to recoup what they'd lost. However, that promotion and the paycheck that comes with it have not yet arrived, and the UNLV athletic department is running out of time and money. Their current debts are estimated to be somewhere between $26 and $31 million. Now let's talk about why this is important in regards to the Pac-12. When the PAC initially picked up the first 4 schools from the Mountain West, they had to do it in secret to avoid the possibility of Gloria Nevarez and the rest of the Mountain West leadership finding ways to keep those members there. Most people thought it was foolish not to include UNLV, and even prideful not to do so in that initial group. However, something less well known is that the athletic director for UNLV is on the executive committee of the Mountain West Conference Board of Directors, is in fact the president of that board, and therefore would have had a fiduciary responsibility to stakeholders in the conference, the schools, to tell them that they were leaving. This would have risked complicating the breakaway of the initial schools, and therefore was not done. The first issue with the UNLV departure to the Pac-12 at this point is the MOU that they signed with the Mountain West back in the fall. This MOU establishes that all of the schools that signed will be given percentages of the estimated $145 to $150 million that they believe they should receive in exit fees and poaching penalties from the 5 departing members. $61 million has been promised to be distributed to the 6 schools that stayed and Hawaii. The next $18 million is to be placed in reserve. Then another $21 million is to be distributed once again to the 6 schools that stayed and Hawaii. Then legal fees will be paid. And finally, whatever's left will be distributed to the 6 schools that stayed and Hawaii in the same percentages as the last 2 times. UNLV's distribution is supposed to be 24.5%. I'm not intimately familiar with the language of the MOU, and I'm not a lawyer, but let's look at this by the numbers. If paid out in just the $61 million promised, they'll receive just under $15 million. If they're paid out that along with the additional $21 million stated, it will add up to be just north of $20 million. If they're paid their percentage of the money set to be paid to schools of the estimated $145 million, they'll probably receive close to $30 million. This is important because it provides a financial framework for the MOU that opens up the possibility for it to be legally challenged. A Memorandum of Understanding, or MOU, is a form of non-binding legal agreement. It simply expresses that 2 or more parties will work together in good faith, so it is not as strong as other forms of contracts. Essentially, what could happen is if the PAC and Mountain West exit fees mediation starts to head in a direction where it looks like UNLV is not going to get what they originally thought they would or should, they can challenge and break the MOU, as it is not enforceable in court. There have been some who have said this particular MOU is legally binding, but that would be very unorthodox. Regardless, if UNLV doesn't get what they are promised, then it will avoid the terms of the MOU, at least enough for them to escape from it. In terms of the mediation going on between the PAC and the Mountain West, Canzano and Wilner estimated that they will likely land at 70 cents on the dollar for the exit fees. If this includes the poaching penalties, it'll be just about $100 million total. That would be just enough to cover the first 3 phases of allocation. This means that UNLV would be given around $20 million. In order to pay off their debts in the first year, the New Mountain West media deal would need to pay out at $6 million per school, which is the top end of what's been estimated for their media deal value. However, that's not how budgeting works, and they would likely need to use some of that money to pay for their athletics budget. If they've been operating at a deficit with a $3.5 million media deal since 2020, they may not even have enough money to clear their debts by 2031, when the Great Reset is coming, which is just what I'm calling 2031, since that's when all the conference media deals end. All of this is to say that I think UNLV is being negotiated over in mediation. Not only that, I think UNLV is seriously considering leaving. If we look at the pay structures side by side, we can see why. The money is not all that different. From the lowest payout to the highest payout, the amount that UNLV would receive is essentially the same in the end as in the Pac-12 as it is in the Mountain West. It's really a question of whether UNLV is willing to wait for their money or if they need most of it right away. That being said, the exposure of playing in a more high-profile and competitive conference comes with the engagement from donors, more advertising and brand deals, higher attendance at games, and higher enrollment. All that means more money for the athletic department and the university as a whole. This will make the financial difference and gives the financial edge to moving to the Pac-12 instead of staying in the Mountain West, in my opinion. I personally think that it would be a good thing, not just for UNLV, but for the Mountain West as a whole if UNLV left the conference. I'll save that for another episode, though. In the meantime, please consider subscribing if you haven't to continue following along. Like this video if you enjoyed it, or leave a comment if you didn't. Let me know why. In my next episode, I'm going to talk about the AAC schools I think will be joining the conference. Until then, I hope you all have a great rest of your day or night and be well. Thanks for watching.